But we do not support the governor for re-election.
We do not endorse Gary Herbert at all, in any way.
I do not want him to continue as the governor. With that said,
just because one guy's bad, we're
going to be talking about a little bit about what Jonathan Johnson's doing. We want you to know when you're getting into this what you're getting, so that way you're not like, holy smokes, what
happened? Yeah, I don't know. At least know what you're getting. Have set the right expectations.
The governor is a disaster. He votes against liberty time and time again. He vetoes pro-liberty bills. We're not saying that you should vote for the governor. But we want you to know what you're getting into with Jonathan Johnson.
There is a loophole that he's left in his rhetoric to still allow Common Core to continue.
Welcome back to the second hour of the Thursday segment of the Liberty Lineup, The Naked Truth, where we think right and wrong, not right and left. This is Ben McClintock and Enoch Moore with Cheryl Neeger still with us this second hour. And I'm really proud to say that Todd Weiler went out of his way to ignore me. We've been having a busy show. The first hour we had the candidates having their debate between Todd Weiler and Heather Gardner from Senate District 23. Bring that up. And Jason, you are on with Ben and Enoch on the Liberty Lineup.
Yes, gentlemen. The Utah Debate Commission, a little crime syndicate that nobody hardly knows about, that was invented by Sour Grapes Bob Bennett to serve the same purpose as SB 54. Keep the good guys off the debate stage and out of the public eye. That's why they're killing the caucus system, because while it was still a long shot to destroy the bad guys, the Utah Gadians, now it's virtually impossible because they have the money, they'll be on the ballot, and they'll buy the media, and they'll win the election. The Utah Debate Commission keeps third-party candidates from challenging the mafia on stage.
Well, that's why it's great that we've got K-Talk, the last independent media station in the state that I know on our show, The Naked Truth, and throughout the Liberty Lineup, we've had third-party candidates come on the show and be able to be invited on to the to debate for their district, as well as just come on and let the people know about them. So
agreed. The other Pied Pipers, though, in the media, Doug Righteous, Rod Arquette, they're on the board of the Utah Debate Commission. So they do control the dialogue, and they lead the people carefully down to socialism. And
we need more people listening to independent media like K-Talk and Defending Utah and what we're doing with defendingutah.org. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
And who are you going to call? Sean Reyes, the He-Man hero?
Well, Todd Weiler trusts him.
Well, that's because he's cut from the same cloth. The cloth ought to be black and white stripes, but anyway.
We can be ourselves a little more now.
Yeah. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate your call. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of what we want to talk about.
Meat and potatoes.
What we want to make sure that we have this just right off. Enoch, I think you agree with me.
I agree with you.
You don't even know what I'm going to say.
I trust you, Attorney General Ben McClintock.
But we do not support the governor for re-election.
We do not endorse Gary Herbert. At all, in any way.
I do not want him to continue as the governor. With that said,
just because one guy's bad, we're
going to be talking about a little bit about what Jonathan Johnson's doing, and especially with his lieutenant governor choice, and us.
We're going to have an adult, honest discussion here.
Right. We want to let you know that doesn't mean what we are wanting people to vote for the governor. We want you to know when you're getting into this what you're getting. So that way you're not like, holy smokes, what
happened? Yeah, I don't know. At least know what you're getting. Have set the right expectations.
Right.
You're going to vote for the lesser of two evils. I know, okay, this is unpopular right now just for a lot of people. We hate Common Core. JJ's going to save us from Common Core. Well, maybe. But we're gonna talk about that. We're going to ask some honest questions here, and we're going to look at the lieutenant governor. we're just gonna think about this and ask some honest questions. And sometimes you have to be unpopular when it's not popular yet.
This is important because now, if he becomes governor and he all of a sudden he continues to promote the agenda of Common Core, even if they change the name, we have to understand the principles involved so we can see them being applied no matter what they call them. And so we're going to lay out some facts, and when it's not popular to do so, because it doesn't do you any good to tell you I told you so afterwards. Right now we need to just be aware of what's going on, and so that we're not fooled depending on what happens after the convention or after the election. So let's get into the announcement.
So Jonathan Johnson made an announcement, and we have some clips from the announcement. We'll play them just to kind of give you the overview here. So Jonathan Johnson announced his lieutenant governor choice.
Today, I'm here to tell you that I found this leader, and her name is Robyn Bagley.
Okay, Robyn Bagley. Interesting. I never heard of Robyn Bagley before myself, so I looked her up. Just wondering, okay, who's the lieutenant governor choice? And quite interesting. JJ introduces her a little bit.
Robyn is the founder and principal of an innovative blended learning early college high school called Career Path High.
What do you say? Career Path High? Hold on. That sounds a lot like college and career readiness. Isn't that the entire slogan, motto, the thing they say about Common Core? Is that the whole point of Common Core, is like college and career ready?
Career ready.
Well, okay, so the name kind of creeped me out. Career Path High.
Red flag.
Sometimes you might as well call yourself Common Core High, but whatever. So Career Path, okay, whatever. It's a neat name. We should all get jobs. Maybe it's all right. So let's just see what's really going on here. What's this school about?
When students graduate from Career Path High, they walk out the door, job and career ready.
What did he say?
Job and career ready.
Wait, you're going to school.
Are you against jobs and careers?
I hate jobs and careers. Down with jobs and careers. Okay, I like jobs and careers. But is that the purpose of education? Is the purpose of education to make sure you get a job? Right? Okay, so this has a hint of this has a lot of Common Core. Purpose of Common Core, the Marxist agenda behind Common Core is college and career readiness, which is just a nice way to say children are to be trained to have their place in society, and the government chooses the industrial army that they go to. So what do you have there, Ben, on
the Soviet? They had a conference back in 1932 where they said that this was the struggle for socialism. The Society of Marxist Pedagogues considers the question of vocational orientation and choosing an occupation, career ready, a component part of making the school polytechnical. Okay? So that's the part of their agenda, is getting you career ready. This was the Soviets back in 1932 was talking about you're making schools career ready. In fact, even today, the Chinese model is based on this old Soviet model of turning schools and making sure that we have this this thing that they said was essential for the struggle for socialism.
The key to understand here is that the very essence of Soviet Marxist education is the government choosing what you do by the time you're done with your education.
And that's what this obsession with tests is, and that's what they talked about in China, is their obsession with tests to be able to direct you into where the government needed you to be in your career readiness.
For all those of you who have been following Common Core, this is not news to you. You understand what they're doing with Common Core. College and career readiness is the new friendly name for Marxist Soviet work training. And so there's no need to really convince you. If you're totally new to all this, maybe you're just tuning in, you're a new delegate, whatever, then I guess we're just letting you know now. That's what it means. And you can look into it. And Utahns Against Common Core has tons of stuff on this. The entire purpose of what they're doing is centralizing, federalizing, even globalizing education. And they're using high technology to do it. Well, anyway, let's see what Robyn had to say here a little bit more as she accepts this nomination.
Well, good afternoon. I am humbled to accept Jonathan Johnson's invitation to be his Lieutenant Governor running mate.
All right, so she accepts, I guess. So she's humble. That's nice.
My family and colleagues can attest to the fact that I'm a very proud and patriotic American. A strong America and a strong Utah require citizens to step up and serve.
Okay, I apologize. Never mind. She's an American. Whew. Everything's fine.
You're so sarcastic.
Okay. So, JJ and Robyn now blame Herbert for Common Core right here.
In May of 2010, Herbert fulfilled his and the National Governors Association goal, and with his signature, signed our students up for the highly controversial Common Core. This gave the federal government expanded control over the education of Utah's children.
I'm in full agreement. Are you in full agreement with that? That's a problem. We don't want the federal government got all this expanded control. Herbert did it.
Article 1, Section 8. Nowhere is education mentioned in the Constitution delegated power.
So that darn Herbert, we just got to get him out.
Unfortunately, lack of leadership from Utah's executive office is providing little hope for this situation to change if Governor Herbert remains in office.
True. Totally true. Totally agree. 100%.
Absolutely. Okay, we're on the same page with Robyn Bagley and JJ on that statement. There is no hope for that to change with Herbert still in office. So, what we want, everyone talks about local control. That's what we want, which Robyn also agrees with.
I believe we need to better personalize and localize our children's education. Education should focus on the individual child and not be beholden to an outdated, one-size-fits-all model. We believe in empowering parents, students, and educators through local solutions.
Local solutions.
Awesome.
Right?
Local solutions. So all right. So they're talking some good talk there, but what we saw some red flags there in our high school and the terminology and some things. Here's
I think this is a prime case, even though she's not elected yet. An example that we can follow where there's rhetoric versus actions that we can compare to. I think that's important. Rhetoric, 100% so far agree on. Wouldn't you say?
We agree with the rhetoric of local control.
Local control, and that the current governor is taking away local control. He's bringing us further under the federal government's thumb on education and bringing in Common Core.
So now she's going to talk about her actions in this next clip. She's going to talk about what her school's been doing and the strategies they've been employing.
The implementation of technology plays a very key role in this as well. Technology has changed every sector, every industry, and our everyday lives. But we are years behind in utilizing it to personalize our children's education.
We'll pause right there. We're years behind in utilizing technology to personalize our education. Okay, now you're sounding like Creepy Core a little bit. Creepy Common Core. Because you know, there's the Utah State longitudinal that's a mouthful. Longitudinal database, right? That is Utah has been collecting data on our children for a long time. And it's all under these federal programs in Common Core. It's all about data collection. So using technology to personalize our education, that's a lot different than using, teachers or individuals or local control. So this is sounding a lot like the data collection. And as she continues to talk here with some more, I think that's even more apparent.
This must change if we are to adequately prepare our students for a modern workforce. A priority for Jonathan and me is making better use of the time that our students spend in high school. If we want to provide our young people with the marketable skills necessary to prepare them for careers aligned to our modern workforce.
Okay, so again, the purpose of school is about aligning them with a career using technology.
We have to think differently. This is something I know a thing or two about. Having created a public high school with a focus on career training, these programs include such training as manufacturing, health professions, computer programming, and skilled labor positions like welding, machinery, and composites, where demand is overwhelmingly unmet for these high-paying opportunities.
So they know about all this demand, which is good, and so they're gonna align the purpose of your high school education to meet a demand. This is college and career readiness that Common Core is built on.
That's the core of Common Core.
The core of Common Core. This is the work. This is the pathway to your Soviet-assigned workforce. Now, I haven't been to this school. Maybe there's nothing wrong with looking at the market and kind of thinking, what do I want to do with my life? Are there even going to be jobs for whatever it is I'm excited about, and so forth. But when the government,
if I wanted to get a degree in underwater basket weaving, it might not be the most prosperous.
The government wouldn't like that. They wouldn't know where to put you. and the stage testing or whatever testing they're going to do to place you, you wouldn't match anywhere.
Right.
Do we need any underwater basket weavers at the UN? I don't know. So let's just finish off this clip.
Currently, 71% of Utah businesses cannot find qualified workers to fill their growth demand. We must maximize these opportunities already available to our students in more innovative ways.
So it's all about meeting the demand of the workforce at this school. It just sounds so much like Common Core, but maybe that's just the theme of the high school. It's kind of a red flag. We'll look a little bit more into if there's any merit to this being a concern. It looks so much like Common Core. So many phrases are similar. So many concepts seem to match. But maybe it's okay. So maybe after the break, we're gonna stick around for some of the conclusions here. And
so, is there really any fire to the smoke that we're talking about? This is Enoch Moore. You're Enoch Moore. I'm Ben McClintock.
I can be Ben if you want. We could trade.
We are from defendingutah.org. You can check out our reports there. And this is the Naked Truth segment of the Liberty Lineup radio show, where we think right and wrong, not right and left. What do you think about what we're talking about? Go to our Facebook page, the Liberty Lineup radio show, comment, and like and share. Call us at 801-254-5855. We'll be right back with more after the break. This is Ben McClintock with Enoch Moore from defendingutah.org, and we are back on K-Talk Radio at AM 630, k-talk.com with the Liberty Lineup Naked Truth segment, where we think right and wrong, not right and left. And this is sponsored by Patriot Mobile, the cell phone service for conservatives. And we've been talking about Robyn Bagley, who was Johnson & Johnson's choice for lieutenant governor, and how a lot of her actions at her school, at her charter school, which is a private public partnership, and what she's been doing, kind of promoting a lot of things that sound like Common Core.
And on the website for her school, she has frequently asked questions, and she mentions specifically through one-to-one interaction and rich data that informs instruction, teachers are constantly able to monitor progress and adjust instructions accordingly. So, and I'm just doing that as an example. It's littered with references to like data collection and
Speaking of data collection, do you want to talk about her Twitter feed?
Her Twitter feed. On her Twitter feed,
she says, check it out.
She's claiming, hey, check it out. Implementing the data backpack.
Well, so she initiated legislation, so in the state legislature. So it wasn't just for her school where you could say, well, that's her choice in her school. It was behind legislation creating
the data backpack. The data backpack, that's talking about this concept of your data, your digital file on your child that monitors your child from cradle to grave, or college to career readiness, or whatever. The thing that as parents we don't want because we value the privacy of our children. And this is there's just so much to this.
Do you want to take the call while you're looking?
Yeah, I guess let's take a call.
Okay, we have
a caller.
Delane, you're in Bountiful. You're on with Ben and Enoch.
Oh, thank you. It's such a pleasure. I'm really enjoying the conversation, and I just wanted to bring up a point. When Robyn being in charge of the charter school, if the charter school is not a Common Core charter school, then why would they be using the AIR testing? The testing takes 6 to 8 weeks for each child. They're sitting at a computer taking tests, and that's as a teacher, if that's not bad enough, the children never get to know what they got right and what they got wrong. As a teacher, I feel testing has value. If it has value to the student and it has value to the teacher. When a child knows what they got right and what wrong, that really serves the child. They learn so much from that because now they know, well, now I know what I know, and now I know what I don't know. And it also serves the teacher because as a teacher, I already have a pretty good feel, but it gives me a really great direct vision of where they are. And it helps me as a teacher in knowing what they know and what they don't. But when we spend all that time testing children and the teachers don't know and the students don't know what they got wrong, how does that serve any child or teacher?
Absolutely.
And we're paying money for this.
It serves the corporations that are benefiting from the work training program that our education is now becoming.
Exactly. It's serving the public-private partnership who's getting a not forever, but who knows how long, extended period of time income stream. And the worst part of it is we can't unelect them. We can't hold them accountable. We can't lobby them. We don't even know what's on the test as parents and as teachers. So I would say if you're not a Common Core school, why would you be doing the testing? Why wouldn't you just say, we're not doing that testing? Just tell your parents. Every parent should be opting out of that testing. I think that computer testing can be very helpful. You've all probably taken tests on the computer,
sure,
and then you get the immediate response back. That is really helpful. So I'm not against testing. I'm not against computer or computer adaptive testing.
Technology is neutral. Depends how you use it.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So thank you.
Thanks.
Nice talking to you guys.
Thank you, Delane. Appreciate your call. Call back anytime. And that's an important thing we wanted to bring up, too. That is an interesting question that Delane brings up, is if she's not a Common Core school, why is she using Common Core material? But bringing this up, we want to make sure that because we said this at the beginning of the hour, but we know that some people come in later on. We're not saying, exposing Jonathan Johnson so you'll vote for the governor. Robyn was right when she said, if we continue with the current governor, we will continue with Common Core and expanding it. But we want you to know that it might not change. It makes me wonder, is this false opposition? Is she going to continue Common Core the same as the governor is? Is what is the question that comes to my mind as we discuss her words versus her actions.
And so far, this is a question that we can't put to rest from everything we've seen and heard. So, okay, so if Robyn is looking so Common Core-y, but that's Robyn, that's the lieutenant governor, right? So, but JJ's promised he's going to end Common Core. He's campaigned on this,
right?
He's talked about it. So we had him on our show. We interviewed him, and we tried to really verify. He said Common Core is not the Utah way. He was right and said he was not for it. We just have a concern that he still left the door open, though, for it to be implemented. And we want to play this clip and see, you guys can see what you think. So I'm going to back up one step to talk about a principle, okay, called nullification. So this is how you get rid of Common Core. If you want to know how you get rid of Common Core, finally, at the end of the day, nullification. That is the proper solution. And what that means is this. The federal government has a list of enumerated powers and what they're allowed to do. Anything they do that is not within that list of enumerated powers is unconstitutional. And a state or an individual, and this is specifically defined in the 10th Amendment, can ignore it. Or if you legislatively, you can just declare that you're ignoring it. That's called nullification, passing a nullification resolution where you say the Department of Education is unconstitutional and is not authorized to exist in the state of Utah, and we won't do any of your programs. That would be a nullification bill. And that's all it takes is one bill to say that and just declare it done. Now, of course, there's all kinds of bureaucracies that don't want that to happen. But that's nullification. So if you're not going to nullify the Department of Education, then they're still going to be here doing things. So this concept of nullification is the proper remedy for anything the federal government is not allowed to do, which includes Common Core and all of this. So we asked Jonathan Johnson. He does understand nullification, and so we'll give him credit on understanding the principle. So I asked him this question. Here, let's actually play the clip where he explains the 10th Amendment well, so we know he understands it.
I think about the 10th Amendment, and it specifically says those what is given in the Constitution are specific enumerated powers to the federal government, and then what's not specifically given is left respectively to the states. And what most people forget are the last four words, or to the people. I think we're at a place where we rail against the federal government to give the state government more power. We should be railing against the state government to devolve more power back to the individual.
Right.
That's great. So he understands nullification. So we're asking him, where does he stand on supporting nullification? This is the question I asked him. I guess basically what we're asking about is nullification, and if you support nullification in principle, there are a lot of legislators that argue, we shouldn't just nullify things. That's crazy. That's, we're going to start a civil war. But the reality is nullification is used regularly. Would you support nullification, and would you just simply take a stand and just do the right thing if you have the power to do so? And so he had two responses.
I think nullification is a good option, but it needs to be used carefully. If we use it on something where the federal government push comes to shove and it goes to court, and a judge and ultimately the Supreme Court overturns the ability, the concept of nullification, then we've hurt ourselves. We've been short-sighted in our pushback. We win the battle, but we lose the war.
Courts can't
pick the ones that will help us win the war.
Courts can't overturn nullification. That's the whole concept of nullification.
The courts can't overturn it, and so we asked him, if you listen to the entire interview on our YouTube channel, it's called Jonathan Johnson Interview Number 1, because we thought maybe we'd have a number 2, but after today maybe we won't. but we asked him, do you think the courts have the power to overturn the whole concept of nullification? So, but no, that they can't. And so then this was his second final answer to the question of if he would support nullification.
The answer to your question is, the principle of nullification is something I understand and I espouse. When it's used, though, I think needs to be done carefully so that we don't actually weaken it in its use.
So if we use it...
It's not like a muscle where you use it and it gets stronger. He's saying that if you use nullification too much, it weakens it.
A right not exercised is a right lost. We should be nullifying everything that is unconstitutional. That is the definition of a good legislator that is honoring their oath of office, because the 10th Amendment is part of the Constitution they swore to uphold. Nullification is not anarchy. Nullification is upholding the law. That is obeying the Constitution when you nullify a non-enumerated power of the federal government. So I said, all right, so after all this, he's not really just saying, okay, yeah, I'll nullify, I support nullification, because that's really what we hope for.
Federal control of education with the specific topic that we're getting into now.
Right. So now that's the background on the concept of this is what we have to do to Common Core. It's the only solution that will just get rid of it and be done with it. Anything else is beating around the bush. I asked him, I said, let's just nullify it. How about we nullify all federal funding for education? Just cut it off.
Well,
be done with it.
I was down in Spanish 4 class Saturday morning as the Utah County Republican leadership met, and they passed, I think by a vote of 222 to 4, a resolution supporting just that. And when I think about K through 12 education in Utah, it's about roughly a $4 billion budget. It's about a $300 million amount of that comes from the federal government. You'd think for all the restrictions and hoops that we jump through for the federal government that it would be a much, much larger percentage than 7-ish%. By the way, $300 million is about 60% of our current surplus for the budget year. We could keep education well funded and eliminate or incrementally move away from federal funding on education.
So
that was a long way to answer.
That was a long way to answer. Will you do it? He says, well, no, a bunch of people were talking the other day, and they thought that was a good idea, and so he didn't answer that directly. So I just wanted to know that he was really going to just get rid of Common Core like his campaign promises were saying. And so here's what he ultimately said. If a local school wants to do Common Core, I'll let them do it. I'm not going to stop them because I'm not a tyrant. Okay, so a question I have on that. you said in your plan that I printed here online, Common Core is not the Utah way. So why are you even going to allow a school to do SAGE testing when SAGE testing is already proven? That encompasses the data nightmare, the privacy invasion of all our children. Why even allow it if Common Core is not the Utah way and federal funding? We don't want any of that. Why even let it linger around?
Enoch, I don't think it's the Utah way, but this is standing on principle. I don't want to be the governor to be the dictator. I want individuals and families and people closest to individuals and families to make the choice. And if there is a school district that says it is their way, who am I as the governor to say no to that?
Well, if they say it's their way, but they're implementing a federal program, then as governor, you do have the authority to enforce the 10th Amendment and say, no, that's a federal program and they're not enumerated. So as a local school district, you can't implement these SAGE tests.
Sure, I could say that, but again, I think that's getting in the way of a local choice. My experience as a business person is the closer to the customer we have people making decisions, whether it's our call center agents or people in the warehouse. Those decisions always seem to be better than the decisions that I make in the executive suite. I like to have principles and push them out that empower people to make decisions. One thing about freedom is that some people will make bad choices and some people will fail. And if some local school district or some charter school says, we want to teach Common Core, I think that's wrong. But who am I to stop them from doing that?
So that when that first happened, I didn't understand what Enoch was getting after. But we talked about it more, and I wanted you, Enoch, to be able to kind of explain that.
So Common Core is a federal program, and if a local school is implementing a federal program, it's the duty of someone who's sworn to uphold the Constitution to nullify a non-enumerated power that is overreaching into the lives of the citizens. So it's not like they're just choosing, oh, this is a nice idea. Maybe they pick some testing that they think is a good idea that might look like Common Core, but some local company made it up or whatever, or it didn't come from the federal government, therefore it's not a federal program, therefore it's not an unconstitutional program. Common Core is an unconstitutional federal program, and so therefore nullification.
To stand by his oath of office, he has to not allow it because it's unconstitutional, and he swore to uphold the Constitution. So that, again, we're not saying don't vote for him. We're not saying vote for the governor. The governor is a disaster. He votes against liberty time and time again. He vetoes pro-liberty bills. We're not saying that you should vote for the governor. But we want you to know what you're getting into with Jonathan Johnson. Don't be surprised. Don't be sad. Know what
there is a loophole that he's left in his rhetoric to still allow Common Core to continue.
And so this way we can hold him accountable to what he has said. He's promised to veto, to sign constitutional carry. Last year the governor vetoed constitutional carry. What do you think about that?
Well, and I've told Representative Kurt Oda, who was the sponsor of that bill, and when Governor Herbert vetoed it in 2013, in the last 2 years, he's basically told Representative Oda, you pass it, I'm vetoing it. I've told Kurt, I'll sign it.
So special thanks to our sponsor, Patriot Mobile, the cell phone service that supports conservative candidates and causes. We'll be back next week on Thursday with The Naked Truth. Stay tuned tomorrow and every Monday through Friday for the Liberty Lineup, 10 to noon on K-Talk. Now stand for truth.
Why do we sit down when all should be standing? And why do we back down at the critical moment, like a running away from the waves of the ocean? We head for the hills with the high tide approaching, as sand slips away from the castle. When it's time to stand upright, why do we falter, like placing our freedom on the sacrificial altar? We hold tight to our fears and defend our oppressors as we fight for their lives and become the transgressors, as pacifists transform to violent aggressors. But I'm only a stranger here. I'm a long, long way from my home, and they say I can't change They say, what can one man do alone? When is the right time to stand up for freedom? Could it be when you start to feel creating children who'll inherit the pain and the debt of this nation and be slaves to the banks that cause hyperinflation, who are masters of commerce, lies, and bad legislation? Whoa, if you looked in the eyes of 1,000 young children through fences of razors, their innocence stolen as the red flag of tyranny flies in the open, is that when you finally notice? Whoa, whoa, but I'm only a stranger here. I'm a long, long way from my home, and they say I can't change all the things I find strange. For what can one man do alone? Is what can one man do alone? I'm only a stranger looking to find better nature in my fellow man, but they keep telling me it's a sin to be free, and that's more than I'm willing to stand. Where will you be when the order is given to censor your mind as free speech is forbidden, as martyrs for peace from the world will be driven away by the sound of a bellowing thunder and choke on the blood of a dream going under, as arrogant men tear up our Constitution, and from every direction we cry revolution, standing together and without permission, soldiers for truth in the war of attrition, the love of our country as our